we're a small island in the Atlantic off the west coast of Europe. Do we have the manufacturing facilities on the island to facilitate the high volume of MMC needed? Or what's the strategy here then?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we have some fantastic manufacturers here. You know, we have, it depends on the category of MMC that we're talking about. So if we're looking at 2D panelists, you know, we have companies like Glenveagh, Newer Manufacturing, who are opening manufacturing plants and outputting high levels, high quality and high levels of housing output through MMC. Yeah. You know, if we get into 3D volumetric modular, sure, I don't think at the current present time we have the capacity to deliver, you know, quite large volumes. But again, it's, as I see it, it's almost like a chicken and egg scenario. You know,
who goes first?
Who goes first? You know, and how can we make sure that we have a pipeline of work for manufacturers, because it's a significant undertaking to set up a manufacturing factory, etc.
But surely government can take that lead with industry, with the LDA, for example, the Land Development Agency, and the volume that they need to build over the next number of decades. Surely there's a partnership between private and public sectors there to reduce that risk and increase supply.
Yeah, no, and we do have some really good manufacturing facilities. You know, Castle Modular in Galway, doing some really good work, and they've produced some fantastic elements and modules for the Ukrainian homes projects. You know, so they're
quite rapidly as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, we have other manufacturers coming on board. You know, Modulera, a new manufacturing company that's beginning to get into the Irish market again. So I think there is a good opportunity. I think we need to look at putting steps in place, you know, it's not just investing in companies. I think they have to be looking at through the life cycle of a project, you know, procurement, etc.
Absolutely, it has.
You know, so I think there's a lot of steps that we need to go through before we can just start, you know, really investing in wholesale factories for particularly 3D volumetric modular.
It's interesting because, as the listeners know, I've spent an awful lot of time in Denmark, and when I look at residential in Denmark, it's all MMC, it's precast elements. In general, that's the way they build. It's all modular-based design and construct as well. It's very rapid build stuff. Like since 2015, there's been 2 new city quarters built in Copenhagen, for example. Rapid amount of construction happening since then to deal with the need for housing. And then you contrast that with Dublin, for example, similar size cities, similar size population, and the time it's taking us to get to that volume of construction here, it's just not quick enough, I guess. And hopefully MMC can help in that. The labour shortages, as you mentioned, are a huge challenge for us and are only going to get worse, because the more housing we build, the more infrastructure we need, the more services we need, the more public services we need. So our construction industry is not just going to grow in housing, it's going to grow in every single sector because of the growing population, right? So the next decade will be an interesting space in MMC.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, when we look at skill shortages, you know, we also have an aging workforce.
Yeah.
And we're probably lagging behind a little bit in terms of getting new apprentices into the industry.
Yeah.
And the boom bust cycle, I think, you know, there's a problem there that it doesn't look appetizing for new entrants coming in. Indeed. You know, on-site hard work, etc. You know, traveling around from site to site. Whereas if we begin to look at MMC and we're kind of moving into prefabrication, you know, factory environments, I think it offers a lot more for the highly skilled worker, the aging workforce to stay on in the industry, you know, further. And then equally, we can bring in diversity, etc. And I think it really integrates all of those elements, and
Absolutely.
I think and really drives forward, and integrating more digital workflows, etc. And that gives a more appetizing industry for the youth to come in.
I think that definitely, even from the health and safety perspective, and working in the weathers where the storm just passed Ireland there in the last 2 days, and you can imagine what it would be like going out to a construction site on Monday morning after that, you know, the qualities of the industry would vastly increase, I think. So it's a big space, and something that's absolutely necessary. I'm shocked when I look at some of the housing design and apartment design in Ireland, and we still build with, a 300 mil double skin block wall with a cavity with insulation in the middle, very traditional piecemeal construction in massive schemes and such labor intensive work. And then the amount of wet trades that we push through each unit and the drying time it takes to do that, etc., etc. Again, I reflect on the Danes' approach to that with offsite construction, no wet trades. They keep all that to a minimum. The apartment constructions are watertight, super quick, meaning that the drying time is reduced to almost nothing, and they can get the fit out started and finished as soon as possible, So there is an awful lot of work to do in this area. And I do think that it will drive the cost of construction down dramatically, because at the end of the day, our wet trades are expensive. Blockwork, plasters, tilers, etc., etc. They're an expensive solution if we're still building in the same way.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting because, we also then need to look at upskilling, because if we're moving and reducing, skills like blockwork and brickwork, where are we going to take those particular skills and bring them in? So again, it's upskilling and a refocus on how the labor, etc., the traditional skills, etc. So I think there's quite a lot to happen in a step-by-step approach, skills, procurement, etc., that we need to look at to bring those higher levels of MMC adoption through the pipeline.
It's a long-term objective then. Yeah, it's not a 1 year, 2 year thing. You're not saying by 2025 we'll have it solved, Ross.
Yeah, no, certainly not. And I think those pieces of the jigsaw are beginning to formulate. They're coming together at the moment. We have some really good initiatives within the Irish industry. We've Construct Innovate in Galway, who are now really driving forward, bringing people together, looking at the skills, the training, formalizing, research strategies around and beginning to articulate the benefits, etc., of MMC. Yeah. We have a new innovation park in Offaly, and again, we're setting up exemplar housing typologies and using various modern methods of construction. They have a good training centre there, and particularly in retrofit, and that's actually another area that MMC can really drive forward in terms of we need to upgrade significant numbers of housing. Yeah. It is obviously more challenging, than new build. For example, individual homeowners.
They're occupied now.
You're occupant, you're living in there. And then, if we have large scale housing schemes, can we force everybody to upgrade all at once? Yeah. So I think there's a lot of challenges there. But, I see them as challenges, that's something,
opportunity at the same
time, exactly, that we can really drive forward. So I think, we have some good initiatives, and we just need to come together as an industry and solve the challenges.